Hello, welcome back to another 2024 presidential election prediction. Today I have incumbent Congresswoman from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Texas Senator Ted Cruz versus incumbent Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California and Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. Now, part of the reason I picked these running mates is for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Ted Cruz is a well-known national figure that the Trump wing of the Republican Party will definitely be willing to get behind, basically doubling down on that demographic. And as for Maxine Waters, Amy Klobuchar provides more of a centrist role when compared to Waters herself. It's a decent complement to double woman ticket, Klobuchar being from a key Midwestern state. So, obviously, Maxine Waters is going to win the very liberal states, and Marjorie Taylor Greene the very conservative states, which I will get into in a moment. All right. Safe states. All right, looking at that. Something I will say about the Rust Belt, Minnesota, is going to be a lean margin. But I think that the rest of the Midwestern states will be, the Rust Belt states, will be as well. I think Amy Klobuchar is a great compliment to Maxine Waters, as I said before. Ted Cruz may help with the Trump wing in these places, but if 2020 is anything to go by, he was rejected by the voters in all four of these states. And I think that someone who's even more extreme in their ideology and Marjorie Taylor Greene won't go over with these voters, especially with how she posted conspiracy theories on Facebook and whatnot. So Maxine Waters takes these states. New Hampshire too, which, if the last election is anything to go by, it's not even really that much of a swing state anymore. Maine at large, Maine District 1. Maine District 2, I think, will also, by a lean margin, go back into the Democratic column just because of how extreme green is. Nebraska District 2 will be lean blue, but the rest of the state will be red per usual. Iowa and Ohio, it's hard. I think I'm going to give them by a lean margin to Taylor and Cruz, just because of, the 8-9 point margin President Trump won it by both times. She'll underperform him. Iowa, I think, will be tilt to the GOP, 2 GOP senators. I think only one Democrat in the House right now. But yeah, Iowa, I think, is more or less of a lost cause for the Democratic Party. And the Democrats realize that they don't really need Iowa if they can double down on the Sun Belt and the Rust Belt. But the Sun Belt more importantly, which I'll get to in a second. South Carolina's safe. Texas, Ted Cruz's home state. Lean margin, but at the lower side of lean. More like a 3-point margin, like how Trump won by about a 5-point margin. But as I said, the Senate race, which wasn't Ted Cruz's Senate race, Cornyn, I believe, his Senate race was about a 10-point margin. So the GOP holds on to Texas, but not by much. Nevada, it's about a lean for Maxine Waters. Not very interesting. Most of these videos aren't very interesting. I don't see too many drastic radical shifts. One thing I will say, though, Marjorie Taylor Greene will be rejected by her home state. Far too extreme, far too disliked. She comes from a safe red district in northwestern Georgia, but people in a metropolitan Atlanta, Savannah, the inner cities, the suburbs, they will not like her, they will not take her, they will not vote for her. As in North Carolina, which flips back to the Democratic column for the first time since 2008. Marjorie Taylor Greene is rejected by these fellow Southerners. Florida also goes to the ticket by tilt margin. It, it is, it went to President Trump both times, but if margins are anything to go by in both presidential and statewide races, governor, Senate, Rick Scott won here. I forget the margin, but it was rather close. Ron DeSantis by a few thousand votes. Democrats can win in Florida. It is not a lost cause. Alaska may even be down to a lean margin just because it's trending Democratic and because of Marjorie Taylor Greene being extreme. And that leaves Arizona, which will be tilt blue. They'll get the blessing of the McCain family, Cindy McCain, Meghan McCain. I think they will back Maxine Waters, sort of like how they backed Joe Biden just because of Marjorie Taylor Greene's extreme nature. And so this is one of the closer elections of today, but Maxine Waters and Amy Klobuchar become president and vice president respectively, Maxine Waters being the oldest president in history at, I think, 84 by the time of this election. Older than even Joe Biden, while Greene and Cruz are the runner-ups, suffer a pretty sizable defeat, biggest since 2008, and that's it.